Hi, I'm going to show you a video on how to do AMI Day 9 with a practice problem. You are wanting to have a trampoline park with your friends, a party with your friends, and use a party room. And you find this information on both trampoline parks. The information that you read is that for the person renting the room, this is their price. And you think that Sky Zone is the better price. And your best friend thinks that altitude is the better price. Which one is right? So we have two tables, and we're going to need to write an equation for both of them and set them equal to each other so we can figure out where they cost the same and can go evaluate from there. So we're going to write an equation for Sky Zone in the form of y equals mx plus b, where m is the rate of change, which is the change in y and the change in x, and b is the initial value. When x is 0, y is what? Which is cost our startup fee. Like what is it? What is it when no hours are jumped? So let's start off with telling you what the change in y next. What is x and y here? So our number of hours jumped is our x, and our cost to jump is y. Our number of hours jumped is x, and our cost to jump is y. So that kind of helps us with our rate of change. So let's find the difference between y. What is the change from 70 to 90 is 20, and the change from 90 to 110 is 20. And our change in x here, what is the change? Is 1, and from here is 1. So now we can do our rate of change. We can take 20 divided by 1 equals 20. So our rate of change is 20. Now let's find our initial value. If it is changing by 20, our rate of change, we can take our rate of change and go back in our table to find what this next value is from going backwards. So this is going to be, if I subtract 20, I now have 50. And I'm at going back 1 hour, I go back and I'm at 0. So now I have my initial value, and I can write my equation. Y equals the rate of change of 20 times x is our number of hours, plus our startup fee, our initial value of $50. Now let's do this for our altitude. What is our change in y? Our change in y from 50 to 105, we are going up by $50. And from 105 to 55, we're going up by $50. And the change in x is going up by 2. From 3 to 5 is 2. So we have a constant rate of change. So we're going to take our change in y, which is 50, and divided by our change in x, which is 2, gives us the rate of change of 25. We're going to take our rate of change and take this number and subtract these two so I can get when x is 0. So 55 minus 25 gives us 30. So I'm going to write 30 here. And since it's 25 for every hour, if I go back 1 hour, that's when x is 0. All right, we have our initial value. We can write our equation. Y equals 25 times the number of hours plus our startup fee of initial value of 30. We can take these two equations listed now and set them equal to each other. So we have 20x plus 50 equals 25x plus 30. Subtract 20x from both sides to try to get x by itself. And we have 50 equals 5x plus 30. I subtract 30 from both sides. I am left with 20 equals 5x. I divide by 5 on both sides to get our x equals 4. So both companies cost the same at 4 hours of jump. So if I look at my table, if I go less than 4 hours, which one is the better company? So at 4 hours, they cost exactly the same. So less than 4 hours, we can look back at our table and we see like Sky Zone 1 is 70 and 3 is 110. At altitude, 1 is 55 and 3 is 105. So this means altitude is cheaper. Altitude is cheaper for less than 4. But what about 5? What if it was for 5 hours of jump? We're going to go more than 4 hours. 5 hours of jump, you would say x equals 5 and put it in the equation for both of them. So 20 times 5 plus 50 is 100. So we have 150. And 20 times 5 plus 30 for altitude gives us 155. So Sky Zone is cheaper if you go more than 5. So you were correct about Sky Zone being cheaper if you jump more than 4 hours. And your best friend is right about altitude being cheaper if you jump less than 4 hours. So it depends on how long you want to jump. All right. I hope this helps you for this question, and I hope you have a great day.